while. I would say they're not playing well. There's no confidence. Even against teams who are lacking confidence themselves, like KR are, they just couldn't get it over the line. So, yeah, big problems for Trin.
Yes, for sure. Okay, one more game to talk about. No one's given us much context on this from a fan view's point of view, unfortunately, but I did listen to most of it on the radio, so we'll talk about it. Salford Catalans. It was 12-6, so no one was nilled at half-time in this one, but Catalans in the end won 32 points to 6, so Catalans were nilled in the second half. 2,607 was the frankly tragic crowd, lowest crowd in Super League so far this season. Ben Thaler was the referee. In terms of the team stats, Salford made over 200 more metres and twice as many breaks, 6-3. The game had the joint most errors in a game this year, Salford losing that count 16-14. Catalans went under 90% team tackle success rate, so couldn't take advantage of all the errors because they kept making plenty themselves.
Exactly. So for Salford, Elijah Taylor, 46 tackles, 13 of which were from marker. Dion Cross, 139 metres, 2 clean breaks. Brodie Croft with a try, 130 metres and 2 clean breaks. And Ryan Brierley with 2 try assists and 112 metres. For Catalan, just Mikel Gudemon with 112 metres and Joe Chan with a try, 7 tackle busts and 110 metres.
Yeah, like I say, I listened to most of this one until it was, game over stages late on, so I missed the CO hat-trick try. How many times could the guy who's second top scorer in the league get a hat-trick when the top scorer isn't playing that week and still not go to the top of the try scoring charts afterwards because someone went and scored fucking 7? Catalan started the better side. They actually had quite a bit of territory on Salford's line but couldn't score other than through a kick finished off by Joe Chan. Salford made loads of errors early on in the game, inviting that pressure on. When Salford seemed to sort themselves out about 20 minutes onwards, they started scoring some nice tries, finding Kensio with the last pass or the last kick and scoring the kind of tries we're used to seeing Salford score now. Second half, a great, really good Brodie Croft try. Great play out of dummy half by Andy Ackers. He had a really quick play of the ball that he managed to exploit with a really quick run right in behind the ruck, got right up to the line, and then because that sucked defenders in, he threw a brilliant at the line pass to Croft, who was coming up on his shoulder across the front of a couple of defenders, and he hit it at speed and went through and wasn't stopped. That was really good play. I think the final try that Salford scored after the game was over, that was wonderful inventiveness as well, when it's kind of, we just see them score, like wanting to play rugby league, wanting to score tries. Snide had a little grubber from his own half, about 40 metres out from his own line, but he knew he'd made the call already. He knew Brearley was in support round his shoulder. Sam Tompkins won't want to see the last-ditch tackle effort he put on Jack Ormondroyd anytime soon again, but the fact that Ormondroyd, a big prop forward, was the man supporting in the 75th minute or whatever it was, just shows like how much this Salford team want to attack.
They're very pleasing to watch, aren't they? They're this season's LKR. That's what I'm going to call them. They're very enterprising. A bit enigmatic. You don't really know what you're going to get out of them one week to the next, but they have quality. And we've talked about Brodie Croft, how good he's been this year. Dion Cross, I really like as a player. Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't predict this. I don't think most people would have done. But they were, from the highlights I've seen, they look miles better. And it's not like Salford aren't dealing with injuries because everybody is. And there's a couple of injuries to talk about in a bit. So, yeah, enigmatic, but very entertaining to watch Salford.
I think the inconsistent part is their defence, but consistently they've shown they can score tries this year.
That's true.
Certainly, after the first few weeks of the season. But yeah, Sam Luckley got a grade B intentional trip charge, 1 match penalty notice for the Shearer fan there. Yeah, Catalans did pick up some injuries. Matt Whitley went off early on in the game, leading to Joe Chan coming on, actually, I think. Julian Busquet went down as well. Busquet's injury seems to be the most serious. He's been ruled out for the rest of the season and ruled out of the World Cup, which is a shame for France, with his knee injury that he picked up early in the game. And Matt Whitley will be out for around 2 months with his knee injury as well, so he might just about make the end of the season, but probably only if they're in the latter stages of the playoffs there for him. So looks like 2 more season-ending knee injuries. For Salford, Harvey Levett has been ruled out for the rest of the season with a knee injury he picked up at Magic Weekend. So that looks like he's played his last game for Salford. I don't think we've seen much in the way of who he's going to be at next year, but he's on the market and out of contract. Salford have signed Scotland international Ben Helliwell on a short-term loan deal from Championship club Featherstone. I guess in part because of Harvey Levett's injury. He can fill in at centre and second row, can't he, Ben Helliwell? So, like Harvey Levett can. Yeah, and Alric da Costa signed a new 2-year deal with Catalans Dragons.
So yeah, overall, I mean, arguably the result of the round, but yeah.
Yeah,
easy to overlook it.
They needed it after a bad defeat last week at Magic Weekend, kind of hurt their momentum towards the top 6. But yeah, another big win, like you say.
Indeed. Do
you want to take us through the standings?
Yeah, so Saints keep their 4-point gap at the top. They have 32 points. Wigan are second on 28. Huddersfield stay third and Catalan on fourth on 25 and 24 points respectively. Cass are fifth on 20 and Hull FC complete the top 6 on 18 points. Salford and KR are leading the playoff chase on 16. Leeds on 15 are in ninth. Warrington have 14. And then, all importantly, Toulouse are off the bottom on points difference, with Wakefield dropping to bottom, but both have 10 points.
I think you still have to be saying Warrington, if they could put a run together, can get in the top 6, but they've got 3 teams to overcome there, haven't they, as well as Hull FC. So I think it's a long shot now for Warrington to make the playoffs, whereas I don't think it's too much of a long shot for anyone else.
I would agree with that. I think Warrington genuinely don't need to be worried because they'll win 1 in 4 because that's what they do. But yeah, they don't need to be looking down. But I can't see them having much reason to look up in the table either, to be honest.
No. Stat line of the week: not just an SLP era record, but a Super League era record. 7 tries in a match from Bevan French. We're not being cute about it. There were some other good numbers in that same game, but this is the one. 7 tries, 7 tackles, 149 metres and 5 clean breaks, but 7 tries from Bevan French, breaking a record that stood for 17 years. Leslie Vinacolo's record, was it? Also against Hull FC, weirdly, when he scored 6 tries in a game.
I don't want to think that was 17 years ago, but you're absolutely right, yeah.
It's French,
yes,
after the game, said he doesn't expect the record to stand for as long as that previous record stood. But I don't see where he's got that confidence from. No one else has scored 6 since Leslie Vanacola. There have been a few 5s over the years, including only a few weeks ago. But I don't know. I don't think we get as many tries as we used to in the game. When we've got the likes of Afire and Edwards and people scoring 10 in a game. In the 80s and 90s, I think this could stand for some considerable time.
Well, yeah, I mean it is a rarity, and the kind of the Vanacola one was kind of in circumstances where they were down a player and there was much more space. So, it tends to be certain special circumstances for that kind of thing to happen. Yes, 7 is an exceptional return, and it won't. I'll be surprised if that happens again this decade. I really will.
I'm not being cute. Player of the week's Bevan French as well.
It can't be. I'd love to pick somebody else, but it can't be anybody else.
And that's not taking anything away from remarkable performances by St Helens, by Castleford, particularly in their first half, by Salford, particularly in their second half. But no.
Yeah, he's player of the week. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I went 4 out of 6 in the predictions last week. David went 5 out of 6. I think he only was upset by Leeds in Toulouse. I think. In the host Subaru, David is at the top still. He's got the yellow cap again. I'm second. Alan, you're up to third. So Scoots falls to fourth. I'm not sure what happened there. I guess she went for Hull, didn't she? Do you get minus points if you're that far off in the margin? Super Brew, in the main Super Brew, David stays top. But Fat Boy Rob has the yellow cap this week, climbing to third. His faith in his Castleford side being rewarded, no doubt there. In the Fantasy League, Neil Ormston stays top. Phil White, who's into third, top scored there with 798. So well done, Phil. He had Bevan French in his side, I think. But I went and checked where he finished overall in the standings this weekend, and the person who won, no surprises, had Bevan French as their captain. So someone who pulled that off pulled an absolute blinder, didn't they?
They certainly did.
Right, okay, that is the matches this week. Please, Salford Catalans fans, we want to start hearing from you. We've talked so positively about your sides this year. Where the fuck's the return? But everyone else, thanks for their fan views on the matches. Really helped us round out our views on those. We're now going to move into other results.
So we move into other results for this week, and in Women's Super League in Group 1, dominant result, York 50, Huddersfield 0. In Group 2, Castleford 16, Bradford 48, Lee Minor Rangers 12, Featherstone 10, and Wakefield 4, Barrow 50.
Yes, that all means York stay top of Group 1 with their 100% record from 5 games played. Leeds have 6 points, St Helens have 4 points, Wigan have 2 points, and Huddersfield are still to get off the mark. Whilst in Group 2, Warrington lead the way on points difference from Barrow. Both have 10 points. Featherstone and Bradford have 8 points. Lee have 4, Wakefield have 2, and Castleford are at the bottom on 0. News story in the Women's Super League today. Wigan Warriors have announced 23-year-old French international Lauriane Biville has joined the club for the remainder of 2022. Biville, who can play centre or second row, comes with a wealth of experience from over 10 years of playing sport. She's played in both France and Australia. She represented East Tigers from 2018 to 2020. Also spent time in the women's NRL with the Gold Coast Titans, as well as representing New Zealand Warriors in a women's NRL Nines tournament. Seems like she's taken the opportunity to come and play for Wigan to help maintain the levels of fitness and stuff heading into the World Cup at the end of the year, whilst the French season's in its off season at the moment. So that's she's one of France's best players. So I think that's a good sign for Wigan. I don't know that it's enough, but Wigan have been crying out for a centre for a while, ever since Rachel Thompson became a standoff, really. So yeah,
interesting,
nice bit of business.
Indeed. It was round 19 of the Championship. It finished Bradford 12, London Broncos 30. I don't really want to talk about that. Sheffield, honestly, like last 2 weeks after we appointed Mark Dunning, we've been utter shite.
Yeah, against teams below you in the table as well. I mean, big win for London, though.
Oh, it's massive for London, yeah. But yeah, we have been...
So what's happened? What do you think's happened? Because the results were positive under Dunning, weren't they, up until his permanent appointment? Is it that old sort of cliche, or is there other things going on that I might not know about, like injuries or selection issues or anything like that?
We were very in and out early on, even before Keir lost the job. We we won most of the games we'd expect us to win and lost the games we'd expect us to lose. The result at Newcastle was shocking. The mode of the defeat and the size of the defeat. And yeah, I mean,